Welcome to episode 1 of the Life Without Cravings podcast. So in this first episode, I want to talk about why carb addiction matters to me and why I feel very strongly that it's important that anyone or everyone knows how to overcome their addiction if that's what they want to do. So I've suffered from carb addiction since I was a child, and it was extremely soul destroying. It's slowly just breaking you down. And I think if you're watching this and you're addicted to carbs, you probably know what I'm talking about. And I can say that I was frustrated beyond belief with my eating behaviors and that I wasn't in control of what I was doing. Every morning I would wake up and decide that I wasn't gonna eat a lot of carbs, and then by midday or before dinner I had already broken that. And I thought that there was really something wrong with me. Like, what's wrong with me because I can't stop eating? Once I learned how to break free from this pattern, and I learned how to be in control, how to plan what I'm eating, how to choose what I'm eating, and how to not give in to the cravings, the one thing that really stood out to me as being something really special was the quietness in my mind. And with that quietness, I got a completely different focus. I was able to finally focus on the things that were important to me, whether that be something I need to do, for work, or when I was a student, I would have been able to study a lot more efficiently, I'm pretty sure, and not constantly being interrupted by me thinking about how I'm going to get my next sugar fix. But what I've realized now is that it's the side effect of this quietness in my mind that makes the biggest difference, and that's what I want to talk about. And that is what brings me the most joy. So when I was constantly thinking about food, I really didn't have time to think about my future or what I wanted my future to be like or what it could be like. And to be honest, it didn't really seem important either, because I thought it was just a dream. I didn't think that it was something that I could ever achieve. So when all you can think about is food, you start to live every day the same way. It's like Groundhog Day. And it gets quite boring. And after a while, you start feeling depressed because you don't feel like you're in control of your life and like you can choose what you want to do, where you want to go from there. And change is just not possible. And when the only thing that provided joy for me, at least, was pretty much the pleasure of consuming ice cream or chocolate or cookies or whatever. For me, it was sugar. Sure, there were other things that I could enjoy, and maybe spending time with my partner or with friends, doing fun things, but that would be short-lived, and that would always be enhanced if there was some sort of treats involved in that as well. So my whole life kind of revolved around this. And of course, when all you're doing all day long is just chasing that sugar fix, the next sugar fix, you don't have time to enjoy other things, because this is what is giving you the most pleasure. So whenever I would, for whatever reason, start thinking about my future or dreaming about what my life could be like, it never really got me anywhere, because I couldn't believe that it was anything more than a dream. And I was convinced that to have what I dreamed of was completely impossible for me. And it was just not for me. And at the time, I guess I was right, because when I was stuck in this pattern, there's no way I could fulfill my dreams. There are things you need to do to get closer to your dreams, but when you're just doing the same thing day in, day out, of course you're never going to get there. And I know that this is the case for so many of you guys. It's more common than people actually chasing their dreams or even having dreams nowadays. So we learn that, I learned everything pretty much that there is to learn about nutrition. There's a reason for why I have a master's degree in nutrition. I was a personal trainer, so I know a lot about exercise, and I was reading up about all aspects of how to optimize my health, how to biohack, how to do anything just so that I could feel better. And then I would find myself with the hand in the cookie jar and wonder, how the heck did that happen? I'm doing all of these other things, but there's one behavior I can't change. And it's perhaps one of the most important behaviors to be in control, but also to be able to actually choose the diet that is good for you. And it pains me that so many of us don't go anywhere in life because we are so busy feeding that addiction. It's a tragedy that we have this addiction, but you can do something about it. And it's completely freaking unnecessary. So many lives could be so much better if we could just understand that it's a simple misinterpretation of what your brain thinks is going on. And that is what is keeping you hooked on these foods. It's not actually real. It's your brain that thinks that it's real. Your brain thinks that it is much better than it actually is. So when you know what to do and you can have the right mindset about it, it's actually quite easy to stop doing it. Yes, you will have to put a lot of work in and you have to put some time into it, but more than that, you just have to put intent into it and be focused on that one thing. And then you will be able to stop doing it. And this is the reason why 80% of people who try to go on a diet fail. It's not that the diets are necessarily bad or don't work. It's just that your head is not in the right space and you don't really know how to handle it. And I know that you probably now want me to tell you how to do it, but I won't talk about that in this episode because I'm always talking about it. And the knowledge alone will not help you. And that sounds crazy, but there is a reason for that. If you want to learn how to do this in detail, I'm going to put a link up in the description so that you can get access to the recordings from the 4-week Master Your Cravings bootcamp that I did earlier this year. I'm going through in detail exactly what steps you need to do during these 4 weeks. We cover everything that you need to do, like the strategy behind it, so that you can stop eating the carbs. If the link isn't up straight away when I release this episode, it will be there very soon. I'm still having some problems, technical problems. So with my technical inability and the slow response from the help desk, this is taking quite some time to solve, but I'm sure it will be there very soon. Anyhow, the major problem that we have when it comes to quitting is that we want to quit and we don't want to quit. So we have something that is called cognitive dissonance, which is that we have two competing beliefs or desires. So on one hand, we want to stop eating the crap that makes us feel terrible, that destroys our health. And on the other hand, we want to eat it because it gives us relief and pleasure in the moment. And it allows us to relax and feel good, even if it's just for a little while. But it always has a downside, and that is that you will feel pretty crap afterwards, right? So when we have competing desires, whatever is easiest to do is what we will choose to do in the moment, right? And when you're presented with pizza or ice cream or whatever, the easiest way for you to get a bit of joy or pleasure in your life is obviously to eat the pizza, right? Your mind doesn't go to, yeah, but if I'm not eating that, I'm going to feel much better because then I'm going to be in control and I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to do all of these things. Your brain is never going to choose that because what your brain is interested in is the pleasure signals in the moment. And when you get some reward 3 months down the line, it's not really interested. That's not interesting to that primitive part of the brain. It just wants that reward right now. So we can't trust it in these situations. So what's most likely to happen is that you're going to think that, well, I'm going to manage the next time, but, just this once I'm going to have this piece of pizza, or I'm going to start again tomorrow, or, whatever. And we just keep choosing to do the same thing over and over again because this is never going to work. We just try to trick ourselves. Even when we say it to ourselves, we know that we're not going to do it. And then we're going to beat ourselves up for being weak or for not doing it this time either, and for always doing this. And of course, there's something wrong with us, and start questioning why we can't do it and think that we are somehow inferior to other people who are able to do it. And over time, this is really detrimental because you're going to stop believing in yourself, and you're going to stop trusting yourself, and not just around food, because what you've done is that you have proven to yourself that you cannot do what you say that you're going to do. So you just transfer that to every area of your life, and then we start believing that that is just who we are, that we just can't trust ourselves, and we will never keep our word when we promise ourselves something. It might be a completely different story when you promise someone else, but when it comes to yourself, you won't trust yourself because you're already proven that that's not going to happen. So this is now who you are, and you start believe that this is just who you are and that you can't change. And once you're there, you just give up, and you just believe this primitive part of the brain when it says that this is what we should be doing. And from this place, it can be really, really hard to start believing in yourself. Like, when we can understand and accept that our addiction to carbohydrates has nothing to do with your capability or your trustworthiness or your worth as a human being, and when we can start believe that all it is that it's a brain, or you have a brain which has been conditioned to respond to food in this way, and that same brain has been exposed to foods that it was never designed to be exposed to, ever. Okay? I want you to really hear that bit. You have a brain that has been exposed to foods that it was not designed to ever be exposed to. They are not compatible. There's absolutely nothing wrong with your brain. It's the foods that it has been exposed to that are unnatural, not your brain. And our brains are extremely efficient at seeking out the things that we need to survive. And the way that we know that it's beneficial for us is that we will release a lot of pleasure signals. And this happens when you get a lot of carbs. So our efficient brains that we have, first of all, it's a testament to their importance, because if they were not important, we wouldn't have them. They would have died out with evolution. So because this type of brain was probably very beneficial, if you had an individual that was really good at finding the right types of foods and very energy dense foods, or foods that stimulated you a lot, or finding shelter, warmth, being able to make fire, whatever it is that makes you feel good, obviously that person would survive much longer than someone who has a brain that doesn't really care about those things. So that wouldn't have been beneficial for our ancestors to survive. So thankfully, you're here and you have a brain that's just very efficient, right? But the problem isn't your brain. The problem isn't you. The problem has nothing to do with you as a person. You just have a tool up here that is not compatible with the foods that it's being faced with. So the problem here is that your brain falsely believes that processed carbohydrates are superfoods that trumps all other foods when it comes to survival, because that is the response that it will receive when it consumes those carbs. It will get a massive response from them because they are very, very concentrated and they go into your blood very quickly. And your taste buds, depending on what type of food it is, they might just light up because there is so much of everything there that you just really like. But what it is just like, we can liken it to a translation error. So we just need to gain control of our brains and start making different decisions and use our knowledge and our desires to make those decisions, which means that we use a different part of the brain. We're using the prefrontal cortex to make those decisions. So we need to be present and aware of what's going on when we make those decisions and just take that control back. And this is really super important as well. Any human being who has a brain can learn to do this. Okay? It's not hard. It's just requires you to dare to do it. And I know before I did this, I had the knowledge for several months before I could be bothered to even try it. So don't beat yourself up about it. If you have been listening to me previously, if you heard about this 6 months ago, a year ago, that happens. Our brains are just like, no, we don't like change because change is scary. And that's just how they work. So you just need to make that decision to start making those changes. So once you can commit to the process and stop battling yourself, you're going to see that this actually really works and you're going to start getting some good results. And this is exactly what I'm teaching all my clients. First, I teach them how to do it, the strategy, the one that you can get in the Master Your Cravings videos. That's exactly what I teach all my clients. And then we practice this behavior over and over again, like a lot of times, on purpose. And this is really important. If you don't practice it on purpose, you won't get there. It's like mindlessly doing something and you don't remember what you did. You're never going to know exactly what's going on. You want to focus on it and you want to practice it. And then when they have learned this new skill, they just have a different neural pathway that they can rely on, that it will start doing more or less automatically. They don't have to spend so much time and focus on it. It just happens. And we don't even think about it anymore, which is super nice. And then we start unravel all the brain errors we have around food or social eating. And different things come up for different people, but it's all emotionally connected. And we just start unravel all of this to let them see what's going on so that they can choose to act differently in the moment. And that process can go very quickly for some people and can be a very dragged out process for others. Just depends on how many beliefs you have to deal with, etc. And once we get there, when you know what to do, you know what to do at home, you know how to handle all situations outside of home, at work, in social situations, that's when we are reaching the food freedom that people always talk about. And that's when my clients get a taste for what a life without cravings can actually be like. And then we're definitely not done, because then we can finally just take the next step and start dream bigger than they have ever done before. And we just start looking at what they want in their lives. And I help them see that these dreams aren't necessarily just dreams. They can actually be goals, and goals can be achieved. And then I start helping them realize these dreams and move closer to that. And that's what I think is the most exciting part. Is in the beginning I thought that I just want to quit because I want to feel better. I don't want to have all this negative stuff in my life. But once you've done it, there's like a door just opens up to the world, and you can pick and choose whatever you want to do. And then you can just move forward in whatever direction you want to move, which is amazing. And it might sound like it's too good to be true, but the truth is that as long as you are stuck in your addiction, you won't trust yourself. You just won't believe that you can have any of these things. So if you're sitting there now and you think, oh, well, that's easy for you to say because you have already quit, or there's something special with me that you don't have, that is just because you don't believe in yourself. Because I just told you that if you have a human brain, you can learn how to do this. It's a skill that you just need to develop. So don't think that I'm special or my clients are special or whatever. We all have human brains and we can all do it. And I promise you that you can too. And when you can actually do that, when you start moving beyond your addiction, a whole new world of possibilities opens up. And if you dare go and dream, you may very well reach them. And if you want this, but you haven't been able to do it on your own and you want my help doing it, just send me an email at pim@pimjohnson.com. I'll put the email also in the description. And you can book in with me for a free consultation, and we can see if maybe you want my help to get there. Just tell me what you want and we'll see if it's a good match or not. But one thing I want you to remember is that you are worth it. Like, just remember that you are worth it. Nothing is more important than living your life the way that you want to live it. Right? Every single day counts. Every decision you make counts. And just take baby steps each and every day. You don't have to take huge strides. Just one little thing every day towards your goal, and you're going to reach that pot of gold.